Shalom Akim. I'd like to start by saying all praises, glory, and honor be unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles, the true elders of the whole nation of Israel that are on earth today in the flesh. And I'd like to say salutation to all the Akim out there doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedoms to do so. And before I actually go into the lesson, I just want to mention how I watched, woke up this morning and, I didn't, in my normal routine, I get up early and got my first client is a fake Jew that just been my client for years, and I'm cordial with her, but it's just about us doing what we have to do until we get out of here. But her hip is messed up, so I got time in the mornings again for the next couple weeks, so I'm getting up and doing my sit downs early. But watching videos of the first video I watched was one of Apostle Tahar, of course, and then I watched one from the brother in I forget the brother's name, the Simeonite brother in Men of Valor, and then I watched the brother of Kwan over there in the London camp, and and those videos got me fired up, man. And I had already put this lesson together to get it ready anyway. And let me get on with this. I don't want to monologue for too long. But all of them is what was in the spirit is that all three of their videos was related as far as the prophecies that is coming out. So, and it did say be occupied in prophecy. Okay, so, and the brother brought out the fact that that Micah, the guy who supposedly did that shooting, his name was Micah Alexander, and then he brought out Micah 5:7, then X Micah Xavier Salakia, and Xavier, the big X means to X out to kill, man. So that's like an omen, man. And and the things are coming to pass quickly in front of our faces, man. And the reason why I brought those videos up that the apostle and the brothers were talking about is because the same thing that's happening now this was happening in the past, what I'm about to talk about. The Israelites were waking up and coming into their understanding of who they were, and the Edomites via the Greeks and the Romans were trying to suppress them, okay, and trying to keep that from happening. And it's a very similar thing, except this time it ushers when they start killing us again. This time, they're not gonna win. They're going to lose, and they're going to kill the 2/3 have to die. So the ones that don't get killed by the hand of Esau are going to die when the missiles come, or in the famine, or in the riots that are actually starting to build up now. You're having little skirmishes all over the country, man. But anyway, I'm going to get into this lesson now because, like I said, those videos that I watched were related to, it was to what was happening, what I'm about to read about. And the title of this lesson is going to be called Hellenized Jews Were Roman Citizens. Okay? And I'm going to start off with a definition that I didn't read last time. It dawned on me because I talked about it out of the Young's Dictionary Bible. And like I said, I rather enjoy showing and these are all the scholars that put it together, founders of the Holy Land, what is it called? The Studies, Holy Land Studies, Jerusalem. All right. So those are all your group of scholars that put this book together. All right. Because, Jake don't want to listen to something when Jake tells him. So I figure if we have these Edomites, the so-called white man, tell you, maybe you'll actually listen. So the word I was looking for was Hellenist. I was looking for the word Hellenist. Let's find that. Let's see what it says, what it leads us to. Got some damn spilled my coffee. Man, that was the Lord. I spilled the coffee. That was nothing but Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. It could have spilled over all my Bibles and my books, but the cup actually stood up on the handle. When it when it leaned over, it actually landed on the handle, so just a little bit came out. All praises going out to be unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. I just witnessed a little mini miracle right there. Okay, Hellenists. It says, see Grecian Jews. Okay? So let's go to Grecian Jews. Let me put that up again, you know. See? See Grecian Jews. So let's go to Grecian Jews, man. Grecian Jews. Gentiles. Grecian Jews. We already did the Gentile definition. Bear with me, I'm not as fast as I normally am. I'm still groggy. Okay, here we go. Grecian Jews. Hellenists were Greek-speaking Jews. Acts 6:1, Acts 9:29. Those are very powerful scriptures because it's telling you that those people, matter of fact, let's get those. So I've read that before. But let's just get one of them. Let's get Acts 6:1. They told you that they were Greek-speaking Jews. All right? Wow. It says, and in those, this is Acts 6:1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples were multiplied, there arose murmurings of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily administrations. So, when you said, leave it up to Bishop Bacon, Alpha Omega Industries, Joel Osteen, Paula White, you know, T.D. Jakes, they would tell you that those were Edomite Greeks, white people dealing with the Jews, and it wasn't, man. It was not. That was Hellenized Greek-speaking Jews having issues with the pompous, arrogant Hebrew-speaking Jews who did not want to include them any longer in the covenants. Layman terms. That's what was going on. Okay? Matter of fact, let me put that up to the camera so that you can pause the video and see it for yourself. Something that I like to do because, you know, I don't have all those editing skills and all that other, you know, all that fancy stuff like some of you brothers. So, you know, I come with it raw. With books, reading, and just speech because, you know, I don't know any other way to do it. But here we go. Hellenists, Greek-speaking Jews. Okay, got that out the way. And now I'm going to go into this book, which I've gone into before. The Jews Among Greeks and Romans. A diaspora source book. So, and it's by Margaret H. Williams, who put together all this information from records. This is all public record information that you can go and look for yourself. Proving the point that we always say, that the Gentiles in the New Testament, that the apostles and the disciples were dealing with, when they were healing them and allowing, and, you know, and when they were dealing with them and healing them and blessing them, that those particular set of Gentiles were Hellenists, and that the so-called white man who was Esau, Edom, in his trickery, in his normal way, just being a wicked, he purposely put the word Hellenist, the word Grecian, where Hellenist would have been, because people just would have looked up Hellenist, Hellenista, Hellenized, or Hellene, and they would have understood, you know. But he purposely put Gentile there because he knew that back in the Old Testament, Gentile referred to the other nations. So that was just a way of him trying to lie and write his way into the covenants, into the blessings, man. All right, which is a bold-faced lie. Okay, it is a lie. Another video I need to mention, the brother with Tazawanya, the brother Benji in my camp. I also began watching a video that he posted. It was talking about how it's impossible for the Gentiles to be saved. I got to go back and finish that video. Only reason I didn't watch it is because I was about to do this. And I'm going to go back and watch that video later. Okay? Because I'm anxious to see, you know, the precepts and how the brother go do things. Because I know he's going to be fire. Because, you know, that's the way Brother Benji come. But this is page 143 in Margaret's Williams book, and I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this quickly, okay? And this is some pertinent, important information for the Akim out there and people, and and a few sisters and the people who are really trying to learn, man. All right, it says Jews among the Romans, Jews and the Roman citizenship until 212 CE, when Emperor Caracalla, through his enactment, the Constitutio Antoniana, granted all the free inhabitants of the empire Roman citizenship. Probably only a minority of Jews enjoyed that privilege and hence highly coveted status, just like you elevated Negroes and Latinos in this society, man. You George Lopez's, you Michael Jordans, Eva Longorias, you people like that, who sell out for wealth and riches and sell out to the wicked system of Esau via Hollywood for wealth. You got your consolation on this side. You're all going to be shamefaced, all right, when after you pass and come back in the kingdom. Everybody going to know that you were those sellouts. Beyonce, Snoop Dogg, Beyonce's husband, Jay-Z, all those, Kanye, all those guys, man. All right. Regular ways of coming by it were by descent from someone to whom through military service. Think about that. Sometimes, however, it was acquired irregularly. A personal gift for services rendered from powerful Romans. The evidence people came by Roman citizenship, their transition from non-citizenship to citizenship status marked by the standard change in form. Henceforth, their personal name was preceded by the family name, Iulius, Claudius, Flavius, of the Roman who had enfranchised them. So that's how you got your name. Whoever enfranchised you, their name preceded yours. Okay? And then your name. To illustrate this, we have given below a few examples of many Jews or their ancestors who gained Roman citizenship through Constitutio Antoniana. That's how you say it. Their newly acquired status is revealed by their first names. Aurelius in men, Aurelia in women. They were derived from the adopted family name of Caracalla, otherwise known as Marcus Aurelius Antonius, which is what, if I'm not mistaken, that's also who I think, if I'm not mistaken, that may also be Mark Antony as well, same person, and who the Wailing Wall is named after Mark Antony, called Fort Antonia. Okay, that wall that they rock back and forth, that's not what's left. The scriptures clearly say that there will be no stone left. That's in Matthew. That everything will be brought down, and it was. So when the Romans came in and sacked Jerusalem, they destroyed everything, brought everything to the ground. There was not a building left standing. Okay, so that wall is what's left of Fort Antonia, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think it housed the 13th Legion, which was a Roman, legion of soldiers. Okay. But here's that list. A personal gift for services rendered. Julius Antipater, father of Herod the Great. And this is 4-1. Later, after he had settled affairs in Egypt and returned to Syria, 47 BCE, Julius Caesar bestowed upon Antipater Roman citizenship. So this Roman Edomite gave citizenship to this Grecian Edomites, because the Romans and the Greeks had been at war with each other. That's what's going on all in the Maccabees. You got one, either Romans were trying to, you got the Judas Maccabees and his brothers and different Israelites were fighting with or against the Romans, either with the Greeks or with the Romans, but they were all Edomites. Okay, because Rome rose into power out of Greece. All right, Antipater citizenship, exemption from taxation, and by means of other honors and marks of courtesy made him an object of envy. Josephus, Jewish War 1-194. Now here's the next person, V1, 4.2. Vespasian gave me lodging in the house that Flavius. So Flavius Josephus, the historian, this is what he said. Vespasian gave me lodging in the house that had been his before he became emperor, and honored me with Roman citizenship and a pension. Josephus, Vita 4:23, and I'm gonna put this up to the camera so you can see this. All right. So Antipater, who was the father of Herod, who the Herodians converted to Judaism, so they were Edomites. Those were your Jewish people who were not the sons of Jacob, who became Jewish, like the one who had one of the Herods. I forget. I think it was Agrippa the fourth, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me. All right, I have to go back and actually read it. But Agrippa the fourth was the one who actually had John the Baptist's head cut off, even though he didn't really want to do it, but he had already given his word, you know. And a wicked Israelite woman, one of our own women, asked for John the Baptist's head because he came against her with the truth, like Jake do in the streets. When we come against him with the truth, John told her it was unlawful for her to begin banged by her husband's brother, because that was adultery, and he pointed that out, and she got mad. And when the daughter pleased Herod in the dance, he told her he'd give her anything she wanted, anything. And the mother whispered to her, ask for John the Baptist's head, and that's just what the little girl did. Okay. So, well, that'll take us into something else. I'm not even gonna go into that. Okay, but here you go. Here's that information about Flavius Josephus and Antipater. Okay. Now, it says by descent. When they had tied him up with thongs, Paul said to centurion who was standing by, "Is it lawful for you to flog a man who is a Roman citizen and has not been found guilty?" When the centurion heard that, he went and reported it to the commandment and said, "What do you intend to do? This man is a Roman citizen." To the commandant, I'm sorry. The commandant came to Paul and said, Tell me, are you a Roman citizen?" "Yes," he said. The commandant replied, "This citizenship of mine I required through paying a hefty sum." Paul said, "Mine was by birth." Acts of the Apostles, chapter 22, 25 through 28. And I don't believe that's the way it was. You know what? We're going to read that, because that didn't sound right to me. That definitely wasn't the King James Version. And, you know, we don't really deal with these other Bibles with legitimate reasons. So let's go ahead and read that. This is Acts chapter 22, 25 through 28. Because, and then that's another way, the way they wrote that is they're alluding to the fact that Paul was an Edomite. If he was a Roman citizen by birth, they're not clarifying. When someone reads that or hears that, because you talk to the average person, they'll ask you what is Paul's nationality, and they'll say, oh, he was a Roman. Okay? So 22, 25 through 28. Okay. "And as they bound him with thongs, Paul said unto the centurion that stood by, Is it lawful for you to scourge a man that is a Roman and uncondemned?" Yeah. And see, the other one said flogged and not found guilty. So that definitely was a tainted version of the scripture that was written in Margaret Williams' book. When the centurion heard that, he went and told the chief captain, so they said commandant, saying, "Take heed what thou doest, for this man is a Roman." And the chief captain came and said unto him, "Tell me, art thou a Roman?" He said, "Yeah." The chief captain answered, "With a great sum obtained I this freedom." And Paul said, "I was born free." So that means that the commandant was not a Roman or Edomite citizen, or well, you know, he could have been a Greek, but more than likely he probably was a Jake. Just like you got Jake all up in the police department now. Okay? You got, you know, in the military. Okay? So, with that, I want to get a couple scriptures, man, about these Jewish conversions, man. Because once again, we also going to talk about people doing that, all these conversions with John Hyrcanus himself. So you have to understand, a lot of these people during that time were from different parts of the world, and they were all gathered unto Rome, just like being, like I always say, in New York or Chicago, man. And I've been to New York numerous times, all right? And it's true, man. I remember the first trip, and, you know, going there, I went there on a mission to find the apostles, the elders. But, you know, it was the first time there, and, you know, I did have my family with me, so we kind of did the tourist thing, you know, around Manhattan. And I remember jumping in a van and going on a little tour. And the guy was taking us to all the hot spots. And he said that you could walk, in some places in New York, you could walk one block and hear, you know, anywhere from 7 to 9 different languages just walking down one block. And that's so true, man. All right, because it's the melting pot, the crossroads of the world, man. And Rome was the same way back then. Of course, with Esau at the head of that civilization, just as he is now. Okay? So let's, John Hyrcanus. So we're talking about all these conversions, man. So let me get Esther first. Let me get Esther 8 and 17. Just to prove that point, man. I brought the scripture out before. But, so what this is telling you, that in the ancient world, there was people who were calling themselves Jewish who were not the sons of Jacob, which means they weren't. All right, you can't convert to being an Israelite. Okay, you have to be born an Israelite. All right, so a lot of these people ended up in the land later on and calling themselves that they were Jews, and they were not. Okay, which is why you have so much confusion today. Okay, this is Esther 8 and 17. In every province and in every city, whatsoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, feast, a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Because the Jews kicked so many people's asses, man. And they could see that the power of the Lord was with them. And they were such a clean and orderly people, it was attractive to a lot of people. They wanted to be like them. All right? And so a lot of people submitted to their ways. Think about I think her name was Rahab, the harlot. Her whole house got saved. What do you think they did? They were following the laws, and you think that Joshua and his men, Joshua said he and his house was going to follow the Lord, man, and they gave her a pardon. So you think Joshua was going to allow a heathen to live among them and worship false gods and fake gods? Hell to the no. That wasn't going to happen, man. So you said, look, you going to dress the way we dress. You're not going to eat foods. You're going to take reverence to our holy days, and if you're going to live amongst us, and there's plenty of scriptures to back up what I just said, man. Even though that's not the lesson, there's plenty of scriptures to back up what I just said. Now let's go to another account, another historical account, okay? Which I've brought this out many times. I'll bring it out again. Who is Esau Edom? This book goes for about anywhere between $150 to $200 now, you know, to get up to. According to the sources that I've seen, I bought this book for, I think it was under $20, about 7, 8 years ago. But this is page 9, all right? Because I mentioned John Hyrcanus. Page 7, Salakia. It says, the Maccabean family, a remnant of the true Judites, had ruled Judea from 166 BC to 37 BC, and under Judas Maccabee, First Maccabees 5 and 3, recaptured the city of Hebron from the Edomites. During the time, John Hyrcanus, the nephew of Judas, and the Judites were again faced with hostility of the Idumeans, and you could read the Maccabees to get the whole book of Maccabees to get a better understanding of all this and how this history ties in this book with the scriptures. Hyrcanus confronted the Edomites, causing decisive change in the relations between the two factions, because he was Hyrcanus was the I keep saying Hyrcanus is Hyrcanus. Hyrcanus was the nephew of Judas, the son of Simon. Okay, causing a decisive change in the relation between the two factions. John Hyrcanus conquered the whole of Edom and undertook the forced conversion of the inhabitants to Judaism, which that is a lie. He didn't force them to Judaism. He just forced them to when they lived among them, that they couldn't worship all the wicked holidays and stuff. That you were gonna practice. You were going to not bring your gods and stuff among our people. He didn't like say you're now honorary Israelites. Don't think that. All right. Thenceforth, the Edomites became a section of the Jewish people, which they did in that point. They did become Jewish people, but it wasn't like they're trying to make it sound in this book. All right. Because the Edomites set up Herod. That's how they really became Jewish. All right. When this guy back here in this book, got the Herod's grandfather, Julius Antipater, he was an Edomite. So they said his grandson, they made him the governor, the tetrarch over the Israelites. And so that's how that Jewish thing. So the Israelites and the Jewish people were bumping heads, man, because the Jewish people were following the Talmud and the Israelites were following the Bible. So today the Jewish people try to hold on to the Bible as well, to make the appearance that they're the Israelites when they're not. They're Israelis. Just like the guy on the line over the weekend, we were going back and forth with for hours, man. He was trying to get around the fact and ignore the fact that they speak Yiddish and that they use Hebrew characters so that their language has the appearance of being Hebrew, which it isn't. And he kept saying that, no, we're using the Hebrew characters. I said, I know you are, but you're speaking a different language. So he was making all that confusion, man. But hey, look, they're not the people, man. All right. It says, thus, at this juncture of the time, the Edomites were then incorporated with the Jewish nation, and their country was called by the Greeks and Romans Idumea. So that's where the Idumeans come into play, man. That's why it says that his sword is going to be bathed in heaven and come down upon all Idumea. All right. And so, yeah, and that's by Charles Wiseman, an Edomite, a Jewish Edomite, telling you that the Jewish people and the so-called white man are Esau, Edom. All right, it's like we always say, man. Probably about 99% of the sources that clarify who the Edomites are is by Edomites. Okay, we just pointing out the information, man. All right, it's like I said in the last video. When did truth become hate? Okay, now let's go to First Maccabees. All right, let me hold that. Let me read something else in this book. What did I do with it? And my next scripture is gonna be in First Maccabees, because back to page 144. I'm almost done. We're gonna wrap this up here. Page 144. Okay. And I'm going to read, this is another way of getting citizenship. It says through manumission by a Roman citizen, V1.6. We, Aurelius, of the illustrious and most illustrious city of Oxykinos, Rykos, and his sister by the same mother, Aurelia, daughter of the former exegetes, counselor of the same city, with her guardian admirable, have manumitted and released inter amicos our house-born slave, Paramon, age 40, and her children with a scar on the neck, age 10 years, and Icob, age 4, from all the rights and powers of the owner, 14 talents of silver having been paid to us for the manumission and release of the community synagogue of the Jews through Aurelius Discoros and Aurelius Ios, counselor of the Jews of Salakia, counselor of Ono, Syria, Palestina, and father of the community. And the question being put, we have agreed that we have manumitted and released them, that for the same manumission and released, we have been paid the aforementioned sum. So this is actually a document that their slaves bought their freedom, and now they've been made Roman citizenship through prestigious Roman citizens, and they call that manumission. So if you had a slave that you liked that served you well, you can release that slave and grant them their freedom if they served you well and they pleased you. All right, if you were an Edomite, which means you probably abused them sexually in all manner of way or whatever, and their children. And finally, when you were old and you couldn't have sex anymore, they really didn't serve a purpose to you anymore, so you gave them their freedom. And so that was another way to become a Roman citizen. All right, through military service. This is what we've been trying to get to. Generally, those who acquired citizenship in this way completed 26 years service in the auxiliary service. Recruitment into the legions normally being confined to those that were already Roman citizens. The one-time Jewish Marine who was being awarded citizenship, he owed his recruitment as a legionary to the political upheavals in 68 CE. His unit, Legio, the first Odrix, was a scratch from that Nero in a desperate attempt to shore up his position put together from the rowers in the fleet. All right. So let me through military service. All right. And I wrote down a couple of scriptures. Let's go to Acts 10:1. And we're going to close with these two scriptures. So this is Acts 10:1. It says, and there was a certain man at Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian Band. Through military service at the Italian Band, Cornelius was an Israelite. And that is why, and he was key to the blessings coming upon and the adoption of the Greeks who were Greek-speaking Jews, or the Hellenists, okay, of the people who have been Hellenized, which we're going to read that definition after we read this last scripture and finish this, okay? This is First Maccabees 10. Hold on a second, Maccabees, Salakia. 10:36. And I will further that there were enrolled among the king's forces about 30,000 men of the Jews, unto whom pay shall be given, as belongeth to all the king's forces. All right, man. So let's read this and see, and as a result of these people waking up to the fact that they were Israelites and starting to come together and keep the law, statutes, and commandments, they were causing problems to those who were making money, to those Israelites who were already a part of the system, who were in high positions, the Pharisees and the well-to-do Jews who were making money by committing all this wickedness, living amongst the Edomites, amongst the Romans, and living like Romans. All right, even those of the circumcision, they were getting paid, man. And all of a sudden, you had all these Jakes that were trying to come back to their nationality, and it was messing up their money, up their plans, man, and they didn't like that. That's why all this contention, the same thing that's going on now. That's why Jake don't want to wake up, man, because they want it on this side, man. Okay? They want it on this side. So let me look up this definition, man. We're going to shut this down. We're going to look up Helen again. We're going to look up Helen and Hellenized. Because I looked up this definition in the last sit down, but I'm going to read it again because you may not have seen the last one. And this is a very powerful definition. It shuts down all the nonsense, man. All right? I'm going to read a couple. This is Helene. It says, proper name, Helene, a member of the Thessalonian tribe led by Helen, legendary ancestor of the true Greeks, a later person of pure Greek race and of classical period, all right, a modern Greek. So that really meant an Edomite, because the pure Greeks were ran out of there and the Edomites took on the heritage just like they did here in America. All right, Hellenist, a Jew who spoke Greek in preference to Hebrew. One learned in the Greek, a scholar who spread Greek culture during the Renaissance, all right, who believes that primary basis for personal culture is to be found in the spirit of the ancient Greece. So there you go. All right, they try to give it two, because they try to fast forward to the you always hear me talk about the Renaissance, and they try to apply Renaissance art and philosophy to ancient times, all right, to justify themselves. All right, Hellenized, okay, to cause to conform to Greek standards or uses, to imitate the Greeks in language and custom. So those were your Israelites. They have a lot of them have been forced Hellenized or Hellenized. All right, and Cornelius woke up to the fact that he was an Israelite. Okay, so this the promises and the covenants and the law and the giving of the law was given only to the people of Israel, man. All right, and with that, I'm gonna say Shalom.